Imagine checking into a cozy roadside inn after a long journey. You're cold, tired, and grateful for a warm meal and a place to sleep. The family seems kind. The stew smells comforting, but by morning, you're gone. Not just missing, vanished, like the prairie wind. Welcome to Labette County, Kansas. This is the story of America's first known serial killer family, the Bloody Benders. After the Civil War, under the Homestead Act of 1862, land in Kansas opened to settlers. The Osage Native Americans were pushed out, and in came immigrants looking for the American dream. In the early 1870s, 4 strangers arrived in southeast Kansas. They called themselves the Benders: John Sr., Elvira, and their adult children, John Jr. and Kate. They built a small one-room home near the Osage Trail, a popular route for westward travelers. A canvas curtain split their home in half. One side, a general store and dining room. The other, a mystery. They seemed like a family, but no one really knew them. John Sr. barely spoke English. Elvira was cold and unwelcoming. John Jr. laughed at nothing, often. But it was Kate who drew the most attention, young, charming, and claiming to be a psychic. She offered healing, seances, and warnings from the dead. The Osage Trail was rough. Travelers stopped at the Bender Inn for food, rest, and shelter. Some never left. Guests would sit at the head of the dinner table, with their back to the curtain. As Kate distracted them, one of the Bender men would strike from behind with a hammer. If the blow didn't kill, they'd slit the victim's throat. Then they'd drop the body through a trapdoor into the cellar. By morning, the Benders buried the dead in the orchard or nearby creek. They looted money, horses, even children's toys. Some victims were whole families. One child was found buried alive, her silence bought with death. It wasn't until 1873 that the truth began to unravel. When Dr. William York vanished after visiting the area, his politically connected brothers, one a Kansas senator, organized a search. A town meeting was held. The Benders were there. 3 days later, they were gone. A search party found their cabin abandoned. Inside, blood-soaked boards, a foul-smelling cellar, and outside, 10 bodies buried in the orchard. The community was shaken. Kansas had its own house of horrors. Tracks showed the Benders had fled by wagon, leaving their starving horses behind. They were last seen catching a train in nearby Humboldt. Some believe they split up, some heading to Texas, others to St. Louis. No one ever found them again. What happened to the Benders? Some say vigilantes found and killed them in secret. Others believe they changed names, started over, and lived out their lives among the innocent. No official arrests were made. Despite a $3,000 reward, no one claimed it. Historians debate whether they were even a real family or a group of con artists posing as one. Were they German immigrants or drifters from somewhere darker? The Bloody Benders murdered at least 21 people in 2 years. Their orchard became a mass grave, and their name, a warning passed down in hushed tones, but they vanished as quietly as they killed. Today, nothing remains of the Bender cabin. But stand in that empty field, and the wind still sounds like whispers. In a world full of haunted houses and ghost stories, the Bender cabin stood as a real-life horror, one without redemption, justice, or closure. And while time has buried their crimes beneath layers of dust and prairie grass, the voices of their victims still echo, unanswered. You've been listening to Vanished Voices, where every silence has a story, and every shadow has a name. If you believe these voices should never be forgotten, if you believe that darkness must be remembered, subscribe to Vanished Voices, because we don't just tell stories, we give the forgotten a voice.